Hello and welcome to Guild Wars Players News, the podcast where we take a look at Guild Wars game series news and talk about content on our site, Guild Wars Players. I'm Sithrith, and today we have Athalros.
Yes, I am here.
And we do not have Draculetta, because unfortunately he has had a bit of a family emergency, and so he is not here, which is too bad, and we hope that everything works out for the best for Drac and his family. In other not super happy news, this is our farewell show. After much discussion and deliberation between the three of us, Drac and Athalros and I, we have decided that we are going to be moving on to a different site and podcast. This is not a decision that we have made lightly. We just decided that we want to kind of try and do our own thing, make our way in the world, not as part of a network. Basically, we leave the Players Alliance network on totally good terms. Everything is fine and happy and good. We just have this personal preference. We want to go try doing things on our own. We will be moving on to a different show. We'll talk about that later. So this is Athalros and my's last episode of Guild Wars Players News. We do want to take a little bit of time to reflect on the past 37 episodes and our journey from total utter noobs to kind of sort of maybe knowing what we're talking about most of the time sometimes.
But still kind of noobs.
But it's still mostly we're just total noobs. So, for example, I was listening to some of the early episodes, specifically episode number 1, and I mentioned that necromancers wore medium armor. So that's a thing that I thought. And that's not true, for the record. Necromancers do not wear medium armor. They wear light armor. They are very survivable, but they do not wear medium armor. Also in that first episode, I derided Andang for playing a necromancer. And as we know by now, if you listen to the show regularly, I play necromancer quite a bit. You might even say it's my favorite class. And so obviously at this point I also know the necromancers don't wear medium armor. Athalros learned some things fairly recently actually about the game.
Yeah, within the past 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of awkward, because this is actually something you covered in one of your segments.
I did.
So,
I did.
yeah.
I talked about a combos guide, and then a couple weeks later, you were like, oh, combos.
That's pretty much what it is. Oh, combos.
So...
In my defense, at the time, I assumed they were only something you could do with multiple players, not on your own.
So you at least knew they existed.
I knew they were things. I didn't know they were things I could do.
Okay, well, that's a little bit
And I now
better.
use them quite often, so...
Right. Well, that's good.
Woohoo! Learning.
Yay, learning.
By paying attention, I would have done that anyway, but,
We also learned that we really like necromancers. Even though the first couple of shows were titled things like Necros Are Gross, and also Blame the Asura, which is something else that Athalros has kind of gotten over.
Yeah, I think the main thing, I think at the start when we said we didn't like them, was the pets, and they are very gross.
Yeah, the pets are still gross looking, and I still don't like them.
And I think the only reason we ended up rolling them is because I believe someone informed you that at least there was some kind of build to not use them, and then it turns out it's actually usually more optimal, quote-unquote.
Quote-unquote.
Quote,
well,
unquote,
that's the thing. I think the thing is,
not use them, period.
especially in the early game, you pretty much always see low-level necromancers running around with their minions out.
Just because it's cool, I imagine.
Just because it's cool, I imagine. And they're probably some of the more useful early-level utility skills you can get. But, so, I just always assumed that you always had to have your necromancer minions out, but...
Yeah.
But, yeah, now you actually play an Asura Necro, which is interesting, because we also hated on Asuras quite a bit. In the chat, Mel says, Asura are the best race, which I say, no. You're wrong.
Foo on you. Foo on you.
I don't hate Asura now, but you're still wrong.
I do. I very much do.
You play an Asura. You play an Asura
I have
Necro.
a level 80 Asura. I still hate them, especially Zoja. And because Drax's not here, I can say it. I hate her. I hate her very much. She's a terrible person.
Okay.
And I hope if anyone at Destiny's Edge dies, I hope it's her.
Oh, snap. Speaking of things we also used to hate, or said we wouldn't do, we also said we wouldn't PvP, ever.
Yep, never.
That's
not happening.
Clearly not the case, seeing as we frequently PvP on our Necros. So,
Asura Necros.
you're Asura Necros, so, oh, how the times have changed. Just in these short 37 episodes, we have gone from deriding necromancers and PvP to partaking in those particular types of gameplay. We also had some interesting stories show up on the show. One in particular, of course, Drax not here, but I'm sure he would appreciate us mentioning the Gen Con story of episode 12, involving none other than Felicia Day, who has reached an idol-like status on this show, I would say, in the past.
An idol is one way to put it.
An idol for
Deity,
some.
If
A deity to some, indeed. We're not all members of the Felicia Day faith, but, you know, Drac definitely
believe it or
is.
not, she actually has an altar in awe.
She does? What?
No, not really.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
But
what?
Drac wishes she did.
Drac wishes she did. Although I think he has, like, his own little moving shrine in the form of Mini Zoja.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So, good old Gen Con story. You always gotta go back to episode 12 and listen to that. We also, the whole thing wasn't recorded, but we talked about it on the show one time. Drac and Athoros and I were doing some jumping puzzles, and, we came across this Char who was role-playing, and he role-played us through the entire jumping puzzle, and it was absolutely adorable. And
Yeah, absolutely my favorite random person that we've
Yeah.
met. It's really funny.
That
I
was
used to, like,
so
help
good.
us out and stuff.
He would, like, yeah.
It was just...
He'd be like, oh, you gotta go over this way, and then he'd, like, cheer for our characters, and, like, he'd cry if we fell, and so it was adorable, and I love that.
I'm really sad I forgot his name. But
Yeah,
he
I'm
was
pretty
great.
sure it's in the show notes of that episode, I'm pretty sure. Some other interesting things. Athoros had to remake his character quite a few times to get things right.
my first character, which was my Sylvari Mesmer.
Mhm.
I don't remember his name right now.
Ethelos.
But yes,
The Thriceborn.
The Thriceborn, yes. And it's
For
an appropriate
reasons.
name because I made him 3 times. The first time, obviously, I just made him. The second time, I remade him because he had a look I didn't like when I got into the main game world, so I made him then. And then I remade him again because I think it was the level 10 personal story. I think it was level 10.
Mhm.
You make a certain choice, and I didn't like it. I pretty much regretted it after I finished that bit of the personal story, and I'm like, nah, I'm not happy with this. I'm just going to remake him. And I did. That's why he's the Thriceborn, because he's been born 3 times.
That is true. Another thing that you did was that you learned how to make money. If you remember early on, before I taught you how to make money, which is funny because I'm the one that's perpetually broke and you're the one that always has a ton of gold now.
Because you keep spending.
I keep spending all my gold. I know how to make gold, I just keep spending it. But initially, you would always vendor all of your crafting material to merchants.
I vendor everything.
Imagine all the
So
gold you
guilty.
wasted. Just imagine all that gold.
Yeah. Kind of made up for it for discovering that Laurel's
yeah.
thing, though, which
That's
we've used
true.
quite a lot since then.
Yes, that is very helpful.
But that did definitely turn things around for me, because I was completely out of money at the time.
Indeed.
So yeah, that was good.
That was good. I think the kind of really, what is the word I'm looking for? Maybe the most telling incident for us, possibly, was something that happened when the 3 of us were working on the Living Story together. We spent a lot of time doing that Aaron fight where you have to fight that Sylvari where he stands on top of some, like, rock outcroppings and you have to use crystals to jump up to where he is to fight him, and it took us ages, I think an hour or so, to do this fight.
Around about, yeah.
And then, in the last 5 minutes of the fight, we realized there was a ramp leading up to the top of the steps, and you didn't actually have to use the crystals to jump up to the top. You could just walk up the ramp.
Yeah, I believe you found that news.
And that happened
Yes,
when he had,
an hour.
like, maybe 5% health left or something like that, and we were just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, really? So that's...
It was pretty much an hour.
That's kind of like, that's just so apropos of our time in this game, where we just don't know what we're doing most of the time. Eventually we get it, but, oh gosh.
Yeah, pretty much representative of all our time that we spent doing the jumping puzzles and vistas and
Yeah.
world completion and whatnot.
Yeah.
Especially the jumping
We
puzzles,
always
because
try...
We went through and did every single one of them.
We always try, when we get to a Vista or a jumping puzzle, we try the hardest way possible to do it before we realize that there's just a ramp we can walk up. So that's very indicative of our Guild Wars 2 playtime.
But we
So-
did it.
we
We
did
did
it.
do every single jumping puzzle.
We did do
which
every single
a lot of
jumping
people
puzzle.
have done, apparently.
Yeah, so good for us. So that's kind of our look back.
Still got some trauma from the Aether Blade
Oh,
puzzle.
well, yes, the Aether
The one
Blade.
that we shall not.
Not so
rename.
secret.
No,
I just
did.
I just named it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh my god, it's so painful.
That's the first 37 episodes of Guild Wars Players. We've had a really great time being on the show. We're gonna do the actual show. We're just getting this whole nostalgia bit first. So also just some information right off the bat about Guild Wars Players news and our site going forward. We are leaving, but the show and the site are not ending, so don't panic. Drac is actually going to stay on for the next few episodes. Episode 39 will not be out next week, but the week after that, and it will be headed up by Mel, who has been a guest on the show before, so you're familiar with him. He is going to be running the site, he's going to be running the podcast, and the other co-host is going to be Andrew, and so that should be very interesting, and I really wish them all the best. I'm sure they will do just fine, running the site and the podcast. I know that Mel is looking for some more co-hosts, so if you are interested in being a co-host or, just a general contributor to the site, of course, I recommend emailing contact@guildwarsplayers.com, because they will get that email, and they will, talk to you and whatever. Don't talk to me. This isn't my rodeo anymore.
Sure, they'll do a better job with Mixler than we do.
I'm sure they'll know how to use Mixler. Basically. So that is that. The three of us, like I said, Drac is going to be staying on to help the transition a bit, and Drac and Atharos and I will be moving on to a different site and podcast called Radio Freeteria. You will be able to find us at radiofreeteria.net. Basically, we're going to be focusing on kind of a Twitch channel and a very casual-oriented podcast, because, as we just kind of outlined, we don't know what we're doing most of the time in-game. So, we're going to be streaming and that kind of stuff. So radiofreeteria.net if you miss our wonderful voices and epic fails. There's really no better way to put it. On to actual news. This week. It is the 3rd birthday of Guild Wars 2. So happy birthday to Guild Wars 2. You are 3 years old now. That's kind of maybe like entering young adulthood of MMOs, maybe?
Yeah, around about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's like a 20-something MMO. Another thing, so if you've been playing since launch, or if you happen to make your character around this time, you should be getting, birthday gifts in-game right now, so check for those. They're pretty good. One of the gifts, that you can get if you've been around for 3 years is you can get, unidentified dyes, and you get to pick any dye you want. So that's kind of nuts, especially since Electro Blue Gold, that's not a thing. Electro Blue dye.
Blue Gold.
That's a new color, I just invented it. Electro Blue dye is over 1,000 gold on the trading post right now, so if you've ever wanted that, now would probably be a really good time to, if you get that birthday present, to get it, because, 1,000 gold is kind of crazy. I haven't been playing for 3 years, I haven't even been playing for 1 year yet, so I've got a ways to go. And yes, they are account bound, as Mel points out, so you can't sell them, but if it's something that you've been wanting and the prices are astronomical and you kind of whatever. Personally, I'd get Shadow Abyss or Celestial, because those have always been really, really expensive, and they probably will forever because they're the whitest and the blackest dye available, but that's just me. Another thing that happened this week, specifically just today, they announced the elite specialization for the first medium armor profession, the Thief, and Thieves will get to be Daredevils. I don't know enough about the Daredevil Marvel hero to make any great puns, which I'm really disappointed in, so I apologize, whatever. But basically the Daredevil is going to use a staff, a melee staff, much kind of like the melee staff that the Revenant uses, and the focus is going to be less on stealth and more on
evasion, really.
Evasion and dodging. So one interesting thing that some of the Grandmaster traits will give you is a choice to upgrade your dodge in 3 different ways you can choose. So you can either choose Lotus Training, which makes your dodge into Impaling Lotus, which sounds kind of crazy and cool. And basically each dodge you use will throw daggers and bleed and torment and cripple enemies. And so then this dodge functions as a whirl finisher. And then the next option you have is Bounding Dodger, and your dodge changes into Bound, which gives you the ability to leap in a direction rather than just kind of like rolling or whatever. And this also functions as a leap finisher. And then there is Unhindered Combatant, which changes it to a dash. And that removes cripple and chill effects from you and makes you actually dodge farther. So that's kind of interesting. The staff skills, I mean, basically picture like a martial artist wielding like a bow staff. That's basically what it is. It sounds like. Some of the utilities all are about kind of evasion and throwing daggers. The really interesting thing, though, I say interesting, I know Thalros is going to have some choice words about this, though. The elite skill is basically a combo, and it's got three combo bits, like 3 skills. First skill is called Impact Strike. Strike your enemy and you daze them. Okay. Second part of the combo is called Uppercut, and you deal a heavy blow with your fist, sending enemies flying in place. So I assume they just kind of like go upwards. And then there's skill 3, which is called Finishing Blow, where you deal a downward strike on your foe with your staff, and this, if your enemy is in a down state, like if you're in PvP, this acts as a finisher. So, Thalros, go with your rant, because I know you have a thief rant.
Let me talk to you about Thieves, alright? just let me say this for a second.
Okay.
Thieves, yeah. Nope, actually, pretty much covered for me. Thieves are already OP, and this is just going to make them OP in a different way. Hooray.
Is that it?
Not only are they going to...
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I want to say things.
Okay, go ahead. Go on.
Even if, like, stat-wise, these abilities don't do much damage, or they just don't end up being that OP in a package, they look incredibly annoying to play against. And if I know anything from playing against Thieves, is that they're already annoying to play against, even if they don't kill you from stealth 100 to 0. Which now, by the way, they'll be able to do while you being down as well, so it'll be even faster.
Mm-hmm.
Although apparently they're not going to be able to stealth as well as they do before. They're going to be able to dodge everything, so it doesn't even matter, because you won't be able to hit them. So good luck trying to retaliate. Thieves. I'm so mad. It's a stupid name too, by the way. Daredevil, really? They look more like Shaolin monk sort of stuff, to be honest. If that's like kind of more like it. It's supposed to use like a quarterstaff, right? Like they sort of would.
Yeah, like a bow
Daredevil
staff.
just sounds too modern, I guess, in a way. I don't know. Too pop culture-y, maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't sound good. Plus, most of the ones they've done recently haven't sounded good. Although some, like, I sort of changed my opinion on a bit, like the Dragon Hunter. Sort of makes more sense now.
Right.
I still think Berserker is too generic.
Yeah.
And doesn't match the weapon at all. But I hate Thieves, is my point. And they're just, I hate Thieves. I hate them.
If you want to hear more about how much Thalros
hate
hates Thieves, follow us at Radio Freeteria.
If we stream PvP, you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know.
So that is the Thief Elite specialization. I have a level 72 Thief, but that's only gotten to that level because of Tomes of Knowledge, so I don't know anything really about using a Thief.
Yeah, we hated Necros because they were ugly, not because their gameplay is incredibly obnoxious. And Necros is still ugly. I just play in Nasura, and they're also ugly.
To be fair, minion gameplay is obnoxious.
It is. We haven't fought it much, luckily. Although I will say that on the subject of annoying classes, warriors and some engineers that some engineers, I don't know how they do it.
That's true.
It's just really weird how some engineers just manage to be completely unkillable and other ones just don't do anything.
Right.
It's bewildering, but that's my rant over. You can carry on now.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, I'm about to run it out.
Okay.
For now.
Okay, so that's the Daredevil and Atharos' opinion on Thieves. So another thing, we'll get to see the Thief in action. First of all, of course, in the live stream tomorrow that they do. But also, there's going to be a beta weekend event. The second one next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. So September 4th through the 6th, they're going to have a beta weekend up. Stronghold, beloved Stronghold is going to be up. And of course, beta people will be able to test out the elite specializations, including the Daredevil. Yes, boo. Indeed. So,
I'm going to be conflicted.
Yeah, you're going to want to play
Stronghold,
but there's going to be Thieves.
To fight Thieves. There's going to be lots of them.
There are going to be lots of them.
You won't be able to see them because they'll be dodging around, and you'll be dead. But they'll be there.
They'll be there. So that's happening. I'm excited mostly because Stronghold. I'm also excited to see the changes that they're going to make to the Reaper. So.
Oh yes, that's a thing, isn't it? Have they said anything about it?
They did make a post on the forums, I believe, of updating some damage amounts and making some things faster. So I am excited.
Hopefully the speed thing gets addressed because, like we said before, it's not workable in PvP at all.
Yeah. So it's a thing. Looking forward to that. So this week we also had an update a little bit. On August 25th, we got an update, and it had some interesting things in it. It's mostly kind of just like tweaks and bug fixes and bouncy stuff. But there's also some interesting things. For example, ever bringing it back to PvP, they are making it so that they've already made it, sorry. The practice button has been removed from the PvP PvP panel. So instead, all you have are the unranked and the ranked buttons, which I think is good because, to be honest, practice, the name sounds, promising, like, oh, practice, oh, I'm a new PvPer, I can practice. But in practice, it's actually terrible because it's a hot join system. You can just join and leave as you need to, which is okay, but it's also kind of full of people who are just trying to get their dailies done, and so there's a lot of toxicity in that environment for whatever reason. I don't know. But another thing is that they've made it so that you can only participate in ranked matches if you are ranked 20 and above. That is an interesting tactic. I've seen a lot of people very pleased about that. So that's interesting. I think it is a good step. It kind of makes people practice a bit more in unranked before they get into, the thick of things in ranked matches. So that's interesting. And then finally this week, they've also announced 21 days of sales. And this is interesting. Basically, for the next, 21 days since they announced this thing, basically, they're bringing back certain things to the gem store. Stuff like Kate's Bloom Daggers, Marjorie's Axe and Dagger. They also brought back the white wings for 6 days. So all stuff... Oh, both wings. Black wings are also back, apparently. So all of your...
Oh, yeah, because I didn't miss those or anything.
All of the beloved
Jesus
wings,
Christ.
if you missed the 24-hour sales of the wings, they are now in the store, so go get them while you have the chance again.
Hopefully they're not as popular as they were last time, where every single person had
I
them.
mean, I doubt they will be, because that time, it was 24 hours, and so everybody bought them right away, because, it was 24 hours. So get your wings if you missed out on wings. And yeah, that's it for news, I think. So we'll move on to Guild Wars Players news from our site. So this week, Cassandra Chapter 13 went up. Go check that out. As always, can't really talk about it too much because spoilers, but it is about a human ranger and her pet drake. So go read it. It's really good, really good. So go catch up. The chapters aren't too long, so it's not like it's going to take you forever. So go read it. Next up, Mel put out a look into Tyria. This time it is about Rata 10, which is in the words that I'm failing at. Mount Maelstrom. That's the one. It's in Mount Maelstrom, and so he kind of gives a little bit of information about these ruins, and it's really interesting. So go read it, and go read his other first A Look into Tyria about South Sun Cove. And I'm sure he'll be, doing more of these because he's running the site and the podcast now. So yeah, look forward to those. Mel also put out another chapter in his fan fiction, and he's kind of changed the names a bit. This is now called The Story of Anon Missing Part 2. So again, like all fanfictions, I can't really talk about it too much because spoilers, but go read it. It's about Anon the Asura. So yeah, go read Missing Part 2. It's not that Part 2 is missing. It's the title. It's called... Yeah, okay. I just closed my show notes. This is why I'm so good at podcasting. So Tharos. Stop clapping. Tharos, what did you do this weekend game?
Not too much, really. I did some more world completion, because I do that, because I hate myself, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I finished Iron Marches, which is level 50 char zone, on my Chardian. So I'm thinking about 41% world completion now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm coming up to level 60, which means I'll be doing Claw Island again, which I haven't done since the changes. that they put in like
yeah.
few weeks ago. So that'll be interesting to find. Let's see what it's like now. Aside from that, we did do some PvP with Sarah a few days ago, which was
salty.
It was courtyardy.
Yeah, every single match
For
we did.
For whatever reason, the world wanted us to play courtyard.
Which is terrible. Like, every time, it's just at least one person would vote for courtyard, which is the deathmatch arena, if you don't know. And so it's the worst. And, so much deathmatch.
For people who don't know anything about courtyard, basically imagine a map where the second one person on one team dies, you've lost.
I think the word you're looking for is ruffle stomp.
Ruffling on the part of the team that's winning, yes.
Yes. And we are the ones being stomped.
It's more rough stomp for the other team.
Rolling on floor killing?
Crying.
Oh, let's see. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of crying and being very salty and...
Although apparently the one time that we did go up against a guild, I think it was a full guild of people, we apparently did decently.
Yeah, we
although
didn't.
We still lost.
We didn't lose by like 300 points. We only lost by like 50 or something.
It was really weird because they didn't seem to have much damage at all, and we didn't have enough.
The
focus,
thing is,
they were
good. They were good at rezzing their players. Yeah.
It was really funny. Just like no one was dying for ages. I think it was like 2 minutes left, and they had like a couple of 100 points.
The really annoying thing about that fight wasn't even that we were losing, because like you said, we were doing actually pretty okay. But like the one person was a shark ranked person, so they kept using the their rank finisher. So like when you use a shark rank finisher, like you stab down the ground with your banner, and then this big ghosty shark like flops over, and this person kept using it, and every time they'd use it, they'd type Sharknado in chat, but they were misspelling shark. It was just Sharknado.
That's the travesty.
And so it was just so annoying. Like I get wanting to trash talk, but like, first of all, just copy pasting the same thing every time you use your finisher is stupid. Like, we get it. You use a finisher. You killed me. Good job. GG. Well played. Etc. You don't need to say Sharknado in chat, and also, if you're gonna actually spell Sharknado.
If you're gonna BM, do it properly.
Right.
We need to educate you on how to BM.
Yeah. So it was just stupid.
I will not tolerate being given bad BM.
I don't know what that means. Bad mouthing?
Bad manners.
Oh, okay, yeah. You and your MOBA speak.
It's applicable.
Yeah. Flosine asks when we do these PvP matches. Mostly kind of just whenever.
Yeah.
Usually on Sunday nights, though, we usually do some PvP sometimes. Maybe. Occasionally. So that's a thing. Yeah, that's basically all I did this week as well. I did a little bit of silver waste farming, but I was out of town most of the week, so I didn't, or like getting this podcast and the next podcast ready, so I have not actually played as much as I would have liked to.
Don't even talk to me about the unicorn finisher flow scene. Just don't talk about it.
Tharos is salty because he knows it's the best. Oh my gosh, that reminds me. Thanks for reminding me, Flowscene. Something that I realized before the show is that with this new thief specialization, you can make the most rainbow thief in the world. So here's the thing: you make a thief, right? On one weapon set, you have a short bow, and you get the Dreamer. So that's like, obviously, like you're shooting unicorns with rainbows, and it's amazing. Then, you also get the elite spec Daredevil, and you equip Bifrost as your staff, so you're basically just like hitting people with rainbows, like either with the short bow or with the staff. And then you get the rainbow unicorn finisher, so you're just like this unstoppable rainbow machine in PvP. And it kind of makes me want to play my thief now, actually. I get so excited
on you. The person playing against it won't see it because all they'll be looking at is a grey screen.
Are you saying because I'd kill people because I'm a thief?
Yeah, because they will be dead.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm a bad thief, so I'd probably be dead.
Doesn't matter for thieves. They're all the same.
Tharos is just salty. So
the only good thief is a hunter.
That's not a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, Mel also points out you could be a dragon hunter, but guardians can't use short bows. There's no rainbowy longbow. You can have you can have Bifrost, but you can't have, like, Kudzu, the longbow legendary, isn't rainbowy.
In the words of Drac, don't encourage it. Don't encourage the behavior, please. There's been too much rainbow in my life.
I'm gonna remake my Char Thief to be all white, and he's gonna wear an all pink and purple rainbow outfit. Great!
I'm gonna have to turn the brightness down on my computer.
Now I want to play a thief. Okay. So that
See what you've done.
Yeah.
You see what you've done now.
This is all Felicity's fault. He brought up the Rainbow Unicorn finisher. So.
Made the world a darker place.
Or infinitely brighter, actually. So that's gonna happen. And I think that's about it, because, I haven't done anything. And I know Drax's been busy IRL also, so he hasn't been on much. So I think that is about it. So like I said, we really appreciate you guys listening to us and listening to us make stupid nub mistakes like saying that Necros are medium armor and saying that Asuras and Necros are terrible and all the dumb things we've said.
Are terrible.
Yeah, okay. All the things we've said and done that are just not super smart, but maybe possibly entertaining. We really appreciate you guys sticking around and listening to us for so long. And, Mel and Andrew will do a really good job, I think. So not next week, like I said, but the week after, they will resume Guild Wars Players News with Drac, and I believe the current time in discussion is Thursdays, like now, but 9 p.m. instead of 6:30. So go listen to that when that happens. I'm sure it will be very entertaining. And if you really miss us, we will be continuing on as Radio Free Tyria. We'll be at radiofreetyria.net, and obviously, Radio Free Tyria is our Twitter and stuff. Our first episode is going to be out probably Monday morning, unless, more emergencies and catastrophes happen. But that should be a thing. So, you can follow this show by, the Twitter is at GWPlayers still. You can email them at podcast@guildwarsplayers.com or contact@guildwarsplayers.com, whichever. There's also the Tumblr. Mel is taking over the Tumblr because he is better at Tumblr than I am, generally. And basically, so guildwarsplayers.tumblr.com. Also, the Players Alliance Network is at Players Ally on Twitter. Athelros is reminding me in our Skype chat to mention that our show will actually be quite different. It's not just it's a Twitch channel. It's going to have a slightly different tone than this show. It's going to be a bit more conversational and maybe not necessarily always family friendly. Sorry, oops. Yeah, okay, I said it. It's a thing. But so that's a thing to keep in mind if you're interested in following our new show. I'm at Sithrith on Twitter. Drac is at Draculetta_72. Athelros is at Athelros. And of course, we're also in game. I'm Sithrith.6741. Drac is Draculetta.7410. And Athelros is Athelros.3164. The Players Alliance has a bunch of live shows. Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is DDO Players News, which you can also hear Drac's lovely voice there. Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Lotro Players News. You can go to all these live shows by going to guildwarsplayers.com/live. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to us. And we've enjoyed talking to you guys. So, this is Sithrith. Thank you all for listening, and always remember to look before you leap.